Thank you so much for joining us this evening at Virtual Pioneers. I'm Kimmer Jameson, Kim Flack from 8 Arizona PBS, and we are a PBS affiliate that helps provide outreach on all the programs that you find online. And I'm very pleased to be able to share with you this evening the resources from Faces of America. I will just let you know briefly that this is something that we did face-to-face with educators in Arizona. The content of the outreach was primarily provided specifically for educators in grades 5 through 12. But as you'll see from the Faces of America site itself, there are lesson plans even for younger grades. And I'm pleased that SPIF invited us here this evening to be able to share what we did in Arizona. Everything is online, and I think it's a great opportunity to find out about new resources that are aligned to the standards. Also, to explore a couple of the places in Second Life that are related to genealogy research. And so part of this evening's event will be to tour Live Roots, which is a genealogy location in Second Life to help people researching their family history. And I'm very pleased that they agreed to allow us to tour their facility and talk more about how genealogy research can happen here in Second Life related to your first life. So I've pulled together a few slides this evening. Oh, I should mention that I hope you're all very comfortable on our luggage seating. This is vintage luggage from the time period that we'll be primarily talking about, and each of the pieces of luggage have unique places to sit, so kind of a fun addition to the time together this evening. To start off, if you would like to join me on pbs.org/Faces of America, you'll find that there are full episodes there online for just a small piece of time, but there will also be downloadable segments tied to the lesson plans that you can use in your classroom and allow students to use. And it's important to remember that they're downloadable so that you don't have to rely on the internet when you are in the classroom. I'll just share that this is our local site, azpbs.org/asset, ASSET. And the reason why I wanted to make sure and share this with you is that stations all across the United States customize the national content for purposes of tying it to local initiatives. And here in Arizona, we tied the Faces of America content to local, statewide social studies standards. And we also included some of the links to the presentations that we shared. And so you will find here on our website links to the slides from the genealogist that spoke at our face-to-face event. And I've included some of those slides for you this evening because I wanted you to see some of his fantastic maps. We also, as part of our face-to-face event, included a microbiologist, a geneticist, and so her examples are also on the site as well. Another good PBS site for talking about DNA and research involving genetics can be found there. She highlighted for us RACE, the Power of Illusion, and also the National Center for Case Study Teaching in Science. And even though Virtual Pioneers primarily focuses on social studies, it is always exciting to see cross-curricular connections, and particularly with older students, her case studies were very valuable. So I encourage you to find those on our website. This map is actually probably a better fit for another PBS outreach project that we did locally related to the human spark. But I thought it was important that I share this with you to start, because as we start to talk about where we trace our roots back, you'll notice that all of us as human beings came from essentially the same corners of the earth. And this was a slide that Stephen Packer started off with, the genealogist local to Arizona, in sharing that essentially our origins all began in Africa and the Middle East and in Southern Europe, and then spread throughout the other continents. And so if you are very successful going way, way, way back into your history, those will be probably some of the origins that you will find. But because Faces of America involves the United States and the journey that created our nation, I'm going to be highlighting for you and really focusing on the efforts related to immigration in our own country here. And you'll notice, of course, not only walking down the street, but if you were to look at a map, that our country is made up of individuals from almost every nation in the United States. But it came in several waves of immigration from 14 different locations that are all represented on this map. And they settled in specific locations. We could probably do several evenings talking about all the trends related to immigration in the United States, but I just want to highlight some of the key eras in history that included large ethnic groups coming into the United States. It's important to remember the types of factors that led people to leave their home countries, and there are two types. Push factors. We probably can all think of reasons that would push people out of their homeland and cause them to look for new places to live. Those specifically were religious reasons, economic hardship, war, or that they simply had no choice, such as in slavery, that they were forced, they were pushed out of their original homeland. Probably the more prevalent stories that we hear about related to immigration and Ellis Island would be the pull factors. And it's important to acknowledge that we have both push and pull factors still happening today with people wanting to come and live in the United States. Pull factors would be reasons that are desirable to come and live in the United States. One was the availability of land. We still have this happening in our country. We have vast areas that people are still interested in acquiring, particularly in my part of the nation, out in the West. Also jobs. We still find that even despite the economic hardships that we're facing today in this recession, people still look to see our country as being wealthy and a source of jobs. Also religious freedom. We do have quite a bit of freedoms that cause people to want to come to the United States so that they can practice their beliefs freely. And then this final point is probably one of the most common today, and it's because family had immigrated here, and so they're supporting their family back in their homeland and eventually encouraging them and sponsoring them to come over. There are some key historical periods that certain immigrant groups were the most prevalent, and of course going way back into our country's history from the 1500s to the 1700s during the colonial period, we were focusing primarily on the European descent into the United States. Moving later on, we had groups that were coming due to other kinds of wars, and Really, I want to draw your attention to the fact that we were facing immigration restriction issues as early as 1776. Some of us, I live in Arizona. We deal with immigration issues all the time here as they discuss how to battle the border with Mexico and whether or not to build a wall. And those issues are nothing new. They've been prevalent throughout our country's history.